why do 99% of retail traders fail in crypto? Very simple. Market makers and institutions. Institutional players, the guys with the big money, they are controlling the entire game, and they will always control the entire game, right? Regardless of how decentralized a system or an asset is, they are going to make sure that they eventually win, right? And how do they do that? They do it via supply control. They make sure that you end up losing all your money and they end up making all the money. How do they do that? Essentially, let's take a look at the example of what was happening with XRP before Trump got elected as the US president. What happened was insane. XRP was ranging between 50 to 60 cents for many, many months, right? It was always in this range. Then, before the presidential election happened, before Trump was elected, they manipulated the price down. They caused a huge fear event, manipulated the price down to about 48 cents or so. And after this, after they liquidated all the longs, this is when they shot the price up to over $3. Meaning, they made XRP the third largest crypto asset in the world, which was insane. It was unthinkable. They literally more than 6x'd the market cap from the bottom. Now, think about what this means. This means that these players, they can manipulate the tokens to such an extent that they have insane supply control, they have insane liquidity, insane funds, and they can make sure that you always get liquidated. Now, what does this mean for us? Well, as retail traders in general, you're always in a bad spot. Because the institutions, they have inside information. They know, okay, right now we're planning to liquidate all these people. This is the goal. We're planning to set our limit orders to this level, and then we're going to be buying. What you can do is, you can take a look at liquidity heat maps. You can see at what levels are the liquidations going to happen. Now, this is when you set this is generally speaking, when you set your limit orders, right? You set your limit orders for that. For example, XRP, 48 cents, everybody gets liquidated. You put your limit order exactly for that. Maybe a bit higher, right? But the market makers always push the price wherever they can liquidate everybody. Why? It is all correlated with impermanent loss. Meaning, all the market caps, they grow exponentially, right? Even with exchanges, the liquidity to market cap ratios, they are very skewed. This is not real. Like you see, for example, Ethereum being at $400 billion of market cap. Do you think there's actually $400 billion in Ethereum? Hell no. Significantly less. It all depends on the market depth, on how the order book is filled up, all these kinds of things. But there's never ever this much money in it, right? And they know that. So they're trying to manipulate the price down by utilizing the lack of liquidity. If somebody enters very early and then sells at a much higher price, their impact on the price and their realized profit is going to be much higher, and it's going to be taken away from the money of the large players. The large players don't want that. They want to be the only ones who make the money. They want to be the ones who capitalize the most, to make the most humanly amount of money possible, humanly amount of money they can possibly make, right? And this is exactly what they're doing when they're liquidating these longs. Now, if you go back all the way to 2021, if you were to look at the Polygon 2% depth on Binance, it used to be 7.5 million, which is insane. It was good liquidity. The market cap was obviously significantly higher than right now. At the moment, guess what the 2% depth, by 2% depth, I mean, if you sell a certain amount, then the price goes down by 2%. Now, 2021, 7.5 mil. Right now, it's 400,000 fucking dollars. It's absolutely nothing, right? So anybody can technically manipulate the price down. And large institutions are using this exact fact that there is a lack of liquidity in the current crypto market to manipulate the market, to accumulate more before everything is being sent to much higher levels than now. The lower the liquidity is, the easier the markets are to manipulate, and the easier it is to lose money as well. Because no liquidity, it is basically a PvP game. It's player versus player. There's no new liquidity, no new money entering the space, and as a result of that, if there's no new money entering, you are fighting against the guys that are already existing in crypto, that are already in there. And these guys are all experienced, right? So if you go in PvP, it is always a bit of a difficult situation. Now, okay, we took a look at what happens with market depth, what happens with these entire liquidation cascades. Now, all these black swan events, right? You have to keep in mind, Not always, right? But lots of the times, they're all orchestrated and all planned. Like, people are planning to see a huge economic crash, to liquidate all the long positions, to accumulate the bottom. This is what large institutional players do with inside information that they have. Now, as retail, are you gonna get inside information like this? No, unless you have insanely good connections, you're not gonna get this inside information. But what you can do is, you can think about what is most likely going to happen. Take a look at historical patterns. Okay, take XRP for example, it got manipulated out before the election, then it became the third largest coin in all of crypto. Okay, that's one example. Right now, what's happening? Okay, Donald Trump just officially signed the agreement that the US is going to start purchasing Bitcoin, or they're not going to sell Bitcoin, all these kinds of things. They're slowly starting to talk about this strategic reserve, all these kinds of things, right? And obviously nothing has taken its place yet. Nothing has really happened. It hasn't been really priced into the market. As opposed to that, actually, it caused a sort of sell the news event, which happened on Friday, the 7th of March, which, the prices actually went down. But long term, the large players, the big money, the institutions, they know what is going to happen with crypto. Once the US starts buying strategically, once they start accumulating these tokens, what's going to happen? It's obvious. So, what are the institutions doing? They're making sure all the retail are out of the market. They're making sure the retail is gone, and then they accumulate the maximum possible amounts. They manipulate the price down, they DCA into the chart, they cause fear, they publish negative news, all these kinds of things, just to make sure that the price goes down and they can accumulate at cheaper levels. And then, once they accumulated enough, what do you think is going to happen? Everything is going to skyrocket like crazy, and it is just a matter of time. Therefore, the best possible time to buy tokens and to DCA in is always under max fear. If you're buying in peak euphoria, you're just chasing a pump. Yes, you might generate another 30% on top of what you're entering at. But if you're entering the bottoms, your upside potential is so much higher. You can make so much more money. But people are like, oh, it's gonna go lower, it's gonna go this, it's gonna go that. Yes, it might go lower. Fine. DCA over the next month. DCA over the next weeks. Whenever there's a big red day, DCA more, right? This is the sort of mindset you want to be having when it comes to allocating funds into crypto, into the Web3 space. Because if you're just chasing pumps, yes, of course, it's human psychology. You think, oh, it went up, it's going to keep going up. But this is exactly where, people lose everything. You want to make sure that you are the one who makes the most amount of money, and this is only possible if you're buying then when nobody else is buying. Or when all the other guys are freaking out, they're thinking it's over, they're thinking we're going into a huge recession, they're thinking there's no future left, etc. And then the same guys who are thinking, oh yeah, I'm going to buy lower, I'm going to wait for it to dip more, or do this, do that. These exact same people, what are they going to do? Once the market reverses, once it goes up a lot, they're going to be buying again, and they're going to buy the top time and time again. It is the illness that retail have. Retail always do that. Now, having the right indicators, knowing what levels to enter at, knowing, okay, right now, this is the scenario of the market, this is what the stochastics are telling us. Now we have a multi-week confluence of this certain indicator, we're testing a multi-year support zone, all these kinds of things. You're not informed about that if you're retail normally, but if you have access to the right people with the right information, then you can capitalize based on this information. But obviously you need the right information. Therefore, surrounding yourself with people who know what is going on in the market, who know how the institutional players work, in the best case, who have connections with the institutional players, this is what's going to change your game completely. Therefore, whatever you do, get yourself into alpha communities, whale groups, alpha groups, whatever you can, and learn from these guys. Get yourself contacts in the space that have been in the space for many, many years, that know how the game works, and learn from them. If you don't have contacts like this, feel free to also join my community in the link in the Instagram bio. It's free at the moment, giving away a couple of trades in there, going to be closing it up soon. But these are all things that you can take a look at, and you can all just take a look at the entire market analysis, what the market is doing. But regardless of what you do, make sure to do the opposite of what the mainstream is doing. If you're doing the exact same thing as the mainstream, then you're basically done, right? So do everything in an inverse manner to what all of the guys, all these YouTubers, all these guys are telling you, and then it's going to be significantly easier for you to make good money.